Phony doctors who think more taxpayer dollars and central planning in Washington are the answer. And gentlemen, in this particular video, my friends, let's examine my assertion that more subsidies from Washington and control by Washington result in higher prices and inefficiency. This could be a government inefficiency video, but I'm going to focus specifically on the liberal mindset that everyone should go to college. Seems they're pushing college just for the sake of it. This was part of Bush's plan, central planning from Washington pertaining to education. No Child Left Behind is a prime example, just part of that. Now, leftists will probably ridicule this, saying, "You don't want everyone to be educated?" No, you misunderstand, moron. This mindset, this paradigm that everyone should go to college is backfiring. This bevy of taxpayer subsidies is backfiring. Many people are going to college and getting nothing out of it. John Edwards pushed this college for everyone universal education goal back in 2004. Bush followed this, and Obama is doubling down on it. What good does a degree in kinesiology do you, for example, if you're driving a forklift or a truck? Allow me to demonstrate. On numerous occasions, Hussein Obama has pledged to make the U.S. the world leader in college attainment by 2020, with a specific goal of increasing the percentage of population of people ages 25 to 34 who hold an associate's or bachelor's degree from 40% to 60%. Sociologist Richard Arum of New York University and Josipa Roxa of the University of Virginia paint a dismal picture in Academically Adrift, Limited Learning on College Campuses, the book presenting their findings. The study found that at the end of their sophomore years, 45% of students showed little improvement in general competencies like critical thinking, complex reasoning, and writing. Even after 4 years of college, 36% of students still showed no significant gains in those key measures. More than 2,300 undergraduates from 24 schools participated in the study. According to the nonprofit Council for Aid to Education, the study is the first large-scale research using direct measures to determine how much undergraduate students learn. A second study produced by the Center for College Affordability and Productivity concludes that America is producing too many rather than too few college graduates. The authors of From Wall Street to Walmart, Why College Graduates Are Not Getting Good Jobs report that even as college costs and student debt rise, the financial payoff for many graduates is shrinking. That is because the number of jobs requiring a degree has not kept pace with the ever-increasing number of graduates. In 1970, only 9.8% of college graduates were underemployed. This proportion grew to 17.7% by 1992, and then rose dramatically to 34% by 2008, the most recent year for which adequate data is available. The nation added roughly 20 million college graduates between 1992 and 2008, but 12 million of them took jobs that did not require a college education. In other words, 60% of those graduates were underemployed. Additionally, real dollar median earnings for college graduates were lower in 2009 than in 1998, even though real college costs were much higher for the more recent graduates. This reality is not surprising given the underlying data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics data show that between 1992 and 2008, the percentage of retail sales and commodity workers who had college degrees increased by almost 67%, and the percentage of motor vehicle operators who had college degrees increased by 36%. In 1992, the BLS reports that total college graduate employment was 28.9 million, of whom 5.1 million were in occupations which the BLS classified as non-college level jobs. In 2008, the BLS data indicate that total graduate employment was 49.35 million, with 17.4 million in occupations classified as requiring less than a bachelor's degree. In 1992, 119,000 waiters and waitresses were college degree holders. By 2008, this number had more than doubled to 318,000, while the total number of waiters and waitresses grew by about 1 million during this period. 20% of all new jobs in this occupation were filled by college graduates. I'm not saying that waitresses are dumb, but you obviously don't need a college degree to do it. Ergo, getting a degree and then being a waitress for years is counterproductive. In addition, if you're a janitor from Chicago who cleans toilets and pretends to be a doctor, you don't need a degree for that either. Now let's get to my second contention. Federal government involvement in education, specifically higher education in this video, has increased costs. I've already covered that elsewhere. In part, that federal spending on education over the last 40 years has been much higher than the rate of inflation, and costs have rocketed up. Let's expand on that. Since Hussein Obama became president, he has increased student aid by nearly 50% to $145 billion a year, including an additional $10 billion in Pell Grants. It's unclear that these extravagant handouts benefit the young people they are supposed to help. Tuition prices, not counting room and board, currently average $7,605 per year for four-year public institutions and $27,293 for private colleges and universities. Including room and board, the average annual cost at public four-year institutions is $16,140, and at private four-year colleges and universities is $36,993. Student financial aid from external sources increased significantly between 1987 and 2008, largely due to increased government subsidies. Outside aid increased 177% for students attending public doctoral institutions, schools offering both baccalaureate and doctoral degrees, and 82% for those attending private doctoral institutions over that time frame. If schools were keeping costs in line with general inflation, increased levels of aid should have made a college degree more affordable in 2008 than it was in 1987. In fact, the opposite is true. Even after adjusting for inflation, the total cost of attendance minus all grant aid increased by 44% at both public and private doctoral institutions over the past 2 decades. In 1987, the average student-faculty ratio at four-year and above institutions was 13.6 for public schools and 9.3 for private schools. By 2007, those ratios were down to 11.6 and 6.3 respectively. Enrollment in higher education has risen so much over the past generation that roughly 70% of all high school graduates now enroll in some sort of college. Costs are also on the rise, according to the John W. Pope Center for Higher Education Policy. From 1990 to 2010, college tuition and fees in the United States increased more than 286%. According to the College Board, the average cost of 1 year of college, including tuition fees, room and board, books, supplies, and transportation, is nearly $40,000 at private four-year universities and $19,388 for in-state students at public four-year universities. Between 1999 and 2009, the portion of average tuition and fees at four-year public university financed by federal loans rose from less than 60% to about 75%. Did you get that? Between 1999 and 2009, the portion of average tuition and fees at a four-year public university financed by federal loans, taxpayers, rose from less than 60% to about 75%. According to the Project on Student Debt, in 2009, average debt levels for graduating seniors with student loans rose excuse me, to $24,000, a 6% increase from $23,200 in 2008. The Department of Education released new data this year which showed that 13.8% of student loan borrowers who entered repayment in 2008 defaulted on their loans within 3 years of entering repayment. About 467,000 students. Moreover, the overall student loan default rate is on the rise. The rate in the fiscal 2008 fiscal year, the latest period for which data is available, was 7%, up from 6.7% the year before, and 5.2% in the 2006 fiscal year. You mean despite all these massive federal subsidies, tuition for higher education continues to increase across the board in real terms? Perhaps most of these schools know or predict that the federal government will keep the taxpayer-funded gravy train going, and they can continue to raise tuition. They know Washington will cover the costs. Conventional wisdom holds that colleges and universities heavily subsidize their students. This assertion seems correct given that total spending per student is almost always in excess of per student tuition payments. However, the conventional wisdom is wrong because it inappropriately compares one revenue source, tuition payments, to total institutional spending, in many cases student tuition and third-party payments on behalf of students, easily cover the portion of spending that is actually used for educational activities. Between 52% and 76% of all students attend institutions where educational payments exceed educational spending. For four-year students, this figure is between 59% and 87%, and for two-year students, it is between 24% and 63%. In other words, not only are most students not being subsidized by their college, but most colleges are able to divert money towards non-educational activities, all the while claiming that this spending is for the benefit of the students. All said, the commentators who argue that massive federal subsidies have fueled higher costs in education are spot on. We've seen the same happen in the arena of healthcare and public transportation. Federal subsidies are counterproductive. Lastly, some of the blame has to fall on the consumer themselves. The share of students completing a bachelor's degree in 4 years or less fell from 45% in 1977 to 31% in the 1990s, according to a National Bureau of Economic Research report. Only 53% of students complete a 4-year degree in 6 years. No wonder people are paying off student loans for a good portion of their life, especially if you get that degree and then get a job that doesn't even require one. Have a nice day.